She's bigger than the league. She's just bigger than the WNBA. And they didn't know how to handle it. So they got their players who are jealous. They're jealous because she's making way more money than them in the endorsement market. And even though many of us think that her agents are completely incompetent as well, but they're jealous of her.
The Indiana Fever lost money for years. Not a little money, real money. The kind of losses that make billionaires question whether women's basketball is worth the investment. Herbert Simon kept writing checks anyway, year after year, keeping the franchise alive while attendance dwindled and television ratings barely registered. Then, in April 2024, everything changed. The Fever selected Caitlyn Clark with the first pick in the WNBA draft, and within 6 months, the entire financial picture of the franchise flipped upside down. We're talking about tens of millions of dollars in new revenue, sold-out arenas, merchandise flying off shelves, television deals being renegotiated mid-season. Today, we're following the money, not the basketball, not the drama, but the actual dollars and cents that explain why a 90-year-old real estate billionaire just bet $78 million on a 23-year-old basketball player. Before we dive in, I need to be upfront about something.
How will Caitlyn Clark's star power translate to the WNBA?
Who has the #1 pick again?
Good. Indiana Fever?
It's Indiana. It's not the Sparks, not Vegas, not Liberty. Well, her name is the Kobe, the Michael. It's a top-notch name for your sport, and this name will not be in a big city.
The WNBA doesn't publish team-specific revenue figures the way other professional sports leagues do. So some of the financial numbers we're going to discuss are industry-standard estimates based on publicly available attendance data, television ratings, and sports business analysis. I'll be clear throughout this video about what's confirmed fact and what's reasonable projection. The attendance increases are real. The facility investment is real. The revenue calculations are based on how professional sports franchises typically operate. Let's get into it. Let's start with where the Indiana Fever were financially before Caitlyn Clark arrived. According to Sports Illustrated, the average WNBA team was valued at around $50 million heading into the 2024 season. The Fever were estimated to be in that range, right around league average. That might sound respectable until you understand what it means in practical terms. Most WNBA teams operated at a loss for most of the league's history.
Let's talk about your girl, Caitlyn Clark, back from injury. 9 points in 38 seconds. Some say this is the best, most impactful stretch in WNBA history.
The league itself didn't turn a profit until recently, and even now, several franchises depend on their NBA parent organizations to cover shortfalls. The Fever had Herbert Simon and the Pacers organization backing them, which kept them stable. But stable doesn't mean profitable. Attendance at Gainbridge Fieldhouse was modest, and 2023 reports indicate they were drawing somewhere around 4,000 fans per game. The building holds over 17,000 for basketball. They were filling less than a quarter of the arena. Television was even more challenging. Most Fever games aired on local broadcasts with modest viewership. The national television package for the WNBA was limited compared to other professional sports leagues. Merchandise sales were minimal across the league. We're talking about a franchise that was respected, that had won a championship in 2012, that had loyal fans in Indianapolis, but was fundamentally struggling with the same problem every WNBA team faced.
And I'm not trying to poo-poo on the WNBA. I love the direction they're going in. I'm watching every show. I watch every game as much as I can. But let's be honest. I'm watching it for those two individuals, and especially Caitlyn Clark. I'm watching it for her. And if you don't have her there in the Olympics, what the hell am I going to watch it?
The economics didn't quite add up. And then Caitlyn Clark showed up. The first place you see the financial impact is in ticket sales, and the numbers tell a remarkable story. According to multiple reports, the Fever averaged around 4,000 fans per home game in 2023. In 2024, Clark's rookie season, attendance exploded. The team reportedly averaged over 17,000 fans per game. They led the entire WNBA in attendance. They sold out 16 of their 20 home games at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. Those numbers are confirmed and documented. Now let's talk about what that means financially, using standard sports business calculations. If the average ticket price for a Fever game was in the $75 range once you factor in premium seating, courtside, and regular seats, which is typical for WNBA playoff caliber teams in NBA arenas, you're looking at significant revenue increases.
Now it comes down a little bit, but where it starts to go back up, that's where you have a new bottom. And that new bottom is above where it was last year. That's when you really see the growth of the league. And I think they are trending in the right direction. That's what they want to do. That's what they have.
An additional 13,000 fans per game at that average price point translates to roughly $1 million in additional ticket revenue per home game. Over 20 home games, sports business analysts estimate that could represent close to $20 million in new ticket revenue in one season. That's $20 million that wasn't on the books the year before. The Fever also made the playoffs for the first time since 2016. Playoff games generate additional revenue, and with the demand to see Clark play, those playoff games were selling out as well. Industry estimates suggest another $2 to $3 million from playoff ticket sales alone. Here's where the financial story gets even more interesting. When the Fever played on the road, opposing teams moved games to larger venues to accommodate demand. This is confirmed and documented.
There's a reason that the league has been around for 27, 28 years and never turned a profit. And 6 teams folded and 5 teams relocated. And now it went from 12 teams to currently 13 teams. Is scheduled to go to two more, expand to 15 next year, and potentially some other teams like Detroit looking to get a franchise back.
The Washington Mystics moved their game against Indiana from their usual 4,200-seat arena to Capital One Arena, which holds 20,000. The Atlanta Dream moved their game to State Farm Arena. The Los Angeles Sparks moved to Crypto.com Arena. The Las Vegas Aces played at their usual arena, but with significantly increased attendance. The WNBA operates on a revenue-sharing model for games. While the exact percentages aren't publicly disclosed, standard practice in professional sports leagues typically sees the visiting team receiving between 20 and 30% of ticket revenue from road games. If we apply those industry standard percentages, and if Clark-driven road games generated substantial additional ticket sales across the season, Indiana likely received somewhere in the range of $2 to $3 million from increased road game revenue sharing. Television is where things get complicated and where the long-term financial impact becomes clearest. Multiple sources reported that games featuring Caitlyn Clark were drawing significantly higher viewership than typical WNBA games from previous seasons.
How do people not see this as one of the all-time biggest stories in sports? This didn't happen 10 years ago, then 18 years ago, then 35 years ago. It's happening right now for the first time. She's moving the needle.
Some nationally televised games reportedly reached over 1 million viewers, which represented a substantial increase from prior seasons. The immediate financial benefit to the Fever from television was somewhat limited because the league's broadcast deal distributes money relatively equally among teams. However, the long-term implications could be substantial. The WNBA has been negotiating new media rights deals, and the viewership increases driven largely by interest in Clark have reportedly strengthened the league's negotiating position. If those negotiations result in significantly larger television contracts, every WNBA team, including the Fever, would see increased annual television revenue in the coming years. Additionally, local broadcast deals became more valuable. The Fever's regional television partners saw viewership increase dramatically during the 2024 season. While specific contract details haven't been made public, it's reasonable to project that the Fever's local broadcast rights negotiations for future seasons will reflect the increased viewership and market interest. According to Fanatics, which handles WNBA merchandise, Caitlyn Clark jerseys became the best-selling item in women's basketball. Multiple reports confirmed that her merchandise outsold other players by significant margins. The WNBA operates a league-wide merchandise pool where revenue is shared, but teams typically receive a larger percentage of sales for their own players. Sports business analysts suggest that based on industry-standard revenue splits, if Clark-related merchandise generated substantial sales during her rookie season, the Fever likely received several $1 million from that revenue stream. Reports of sold-out merchandise and restocking delays suggest the demand was significant throughout the season.
They're jealous of the attention, and instead of saying, I'm jealous, I wish I was her, they say she can't shoot. I'm sorry, they say all she can do is shoot. They say she's not that good. They say everything to disparage her game, which is complete and utter bullshit because we all know.
This is where the financial impact becomes harder to quantify with specific numbers, but the logic is straightforward. Corporate sponsorships are fundamental to professional sports franchise economics. Before Clark, the Fever had local and regional sponsors, but they weren't commanding the kind of attention that drives premium sponsorship dollars. The arrival of a player who generates national headlines and substantial social media engagement fundamentally changes the value proposition for corporate partners. Gainbridge, the Indianapolis-based financial services company that has naming rights to the arena, saw massive exposure during the 2024 season. Companies that sponsor the Fever suddenly had their logos appearing on national television broadcasts, in social media posts reaching millions of people, and in news coverage that extended far beyond the sports pages. When those sponsorship contracts come up for renewal, the Fever will be negotiating from a much stronger position. While we don't have access to the Fever's actual sponsorship revenue figures, industry analysts who follow sports business suggest that a franchise experiencing the kind of attention and exposure the Fever received could realistically see sponsorship revenue double or potentially triple. That represents millions of dollars in additional annual revenue. Now we arrive at the decision that tells us what Herbert Simon really thinks about all of this. In January 2025, the organization announced a $78 million investment in a new practice facility. This is confirmed and documented. 3 stories, 108,000 square feet, 2 regulation courts, advanced training facilities, wellness centers, top-of-the-line equipment.
This is going to be like LeBron James in Cleveland. The stars are going to be stars, but are you going to be able to capitalize on it as a business with her being in Indiana?
It's scheduled to open before the 2027 season. That's not an expense you approve unless you're confident in the revenue stream supporting it. Herbert Simon is a real estate developer whose net worth exceeds $5 billion, according to Forbes. He understands return on investment at a fundamental level. He's seen 1 year of the Caitlyn Clark effect on his franchise's finances, and he's making a substantial long-term bet that it continues. Think about what Simon knows that we don't. He has access to the actual revenue numbers. He can see the sponsorship contract renewals. He knows what local television partners are willing to pay. He understands the trajectory. When a billionaire businessman commits $78 million to infrastructure for a WNBA franchise, that tells you something important about what the internal financial projections look like. If we add up the conservative industry estimates we've discussed, substantial increases in ticket revenue, road game revenue sharing, merchandise sales, plus increased local television value and sponsorship revenue, sports business analysts project the Fever likely generated tens of millions of dollars in additional revenue during Clark's rookie season compared to the previous year. Some estimates put that figure at $40 to $50 million or more. That represents a fundamental transformation of the franchise's financial model. A $78 million facility investment makes business sense when you're projecting sustained revenue increases of that magnitude. If the Fever can maintain even a significant portion of that revenue boost over the next 5 to 7 years, the facility investment supports itself while also making the franchise more attractive to players, which helps with retention and recruitment, which in turn helps sustain the revenue growth. The financial transformation of the Indiana Fever creates ripple effects across the entire WNBA. Other franchises are watching this closely and asking themselves how they can replicate it. The Chicago Sky have Angel Reese, who generates significant attention and merchandise sales. The Dallas Wings are positioning themselves for future drafts where they might select players with similar star power and market appeal. The league itself benefits because rising franchise values make the WNBA more attractive to potential expansion cities and investors. For Herbert Simon personally, this represents validation of a decades-long commitment. He bought the Pacers in 1983 and saved that franchise from folding. He brought the Fever to Indianapolis in 2000 and kept them financially stable through challenging years when other owners might have walked away. At 90 years old, he's seeing the women's basketball investment finally generate the kind of returns that make business sense. That $78 million facility isn't just about Caitlyn Clark. It's about establishing the Fever as a premium franchise that can compete for championships and attract top talent for the next 20 years. For the players across the league, this financial success creates leverage in collective bargaining negotiations. When franchises are demonstrably profitable and generating substantial revenue, players have stronger arguments for higher salaries, better benefits, and improved working conditions. The next CBA negotiation will almost certainly be influenced by what happened in Indianapolis in 2024. The Indiana Fever went from a franchise operating in the red and struggling to fill a quarter of their arena to what appears to be a financially healthy organization generating substantial revenue in the span of 1 year. Herbert Simon's $78 million facility investment isn't a gamble based on hope. It's a calculated business decision based on actual revenue data and realistic financial projections. The bet isn't just on Caitlyn Clark staying healthy and productive, though that's certainly part of it. It's a bet on women's basketball reaching a tipping point where the business model finally works at scale. Based on the publicly available data we've examined, that bet looks pretty smart. What do you think? Is the Fever's financial success sustainable, or was 2024 a one-time spike driven by Clark's star power? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you want more analysis on the business side of women's basketball, make sure you subscribe.